Welcome to the Explainer. Look, today we're strapping in for a deep dive tactical matrix on the Carolina Panthers, heading down to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're a hardcore tape junkie or just trying to level up your football IQ, this Explainer is literally built for you. We're bypassing the fluff to expose the real architectural foundation of this matchup. Let's get right into it.
All right, here's the roadmap for today's scouting matrix. We're going to hit the preseason protocol, look at quarterbacks under pressure, dive into the line of scrimmage, evaluate secondary depth and special teams, map out live in-play game states, and then wrap the whole thing up with our final projections.
Section 1. The Preseason Uncertainty Protocol, Embracing the Unknowns.
So we're in Jacksonville, it's August 21st, and look, that date screams exhibition context. We don't have official starting lineups, we don't have verified current year play-by-play data, the depth chart is totally going to dictate the tape here. And honestly, that highlights our core philosophy for this entire explainer. Evaluate the process, not the early score. Starters might take 0 snaps, or maybe just one highly scripted drive. Backup QBs could run the show all night. So we absolutely cannot fixate on a volatile scoreboard. We need to lock in on repeatable, fundamentally sound football processes.
The reality is, missing data defines our forecast today. We're not going to sit here and just make up EPA per play, fake injury reports, or project wild success rates for 2026. Without a verified team stat sample, that's just fabricating evidence, right? Instead, what we're doing is building a rigorous if-then framework so you can scout this game live. We're hunting for those structural decision points that will reveal the true DNA of Carolina and Jacksonville as the game actually unfolds.
Section 2. Quarterback under pressure, recognition and response.
Okay, this brings us to the first major mental battle on the field. Since we don't know exactly who's taking the snaps, our live test is all about pre-snap recognition and how these guys handle pressure. Grab a notepad, because here is your live watch checklist. First up, identify hot answers against one-high looks. If the defense brings the heat, does the QB have an immediate clear outlet? Second, track sack avoidance. Throwing the ball away is way better than eating a drive-killing sack. Third, check their third and medium decisions. Are they taking what the defense gives them? And lastly, watch for late throws into rotating safeties. A guy who consistently reads rotation and takes schedule-maintaining completions is infinitely more valuable than a QB who just chucks one lucky deep ball.
Section 3. The line of scrimmage, trench warfare. Now we're shifting from the mental game right into the physical layer. The big bodies up front literally dictate the pace of everything else on the field. You really need to watch the contrasting failure modes here. For Jacksonville's O-line against that Carolina front, keep your eyes glued to A-gap protection. Interior leakage is a total drive killer. It destroys pocket depth and wrecks run timing without the defense even needing to send a blitz. On the flip side, Carolina's run game relies entirely on their backs pressing their landmarks against sound Jacksonville run fits. You want to evaluate Jacksonville's edge control, their gap integrity, and their ability to tackle on first contact without needing a teammate to cover up a blown assignment.
To really judge that trench warfare, you've got to understand this concept: schedule-friendly gains. What does that mean? Well, it's rushing attempts that set up manageable second and third downs purely through scheme and blocking. No relying on penalties, crazy broken tackles, or the defense totally messing up. An offense that consistently stays ahead of the chains keeps its entire playbook wide open. If they're constantly backed into third and long, they're just feeding their quarterback to simulated pressures and skyrocketing their turnover risk. This is exactly what sustained early down success looks like on tape.
Section 4. Secondary depth and special teams. The hidden yardage. All right, let's look at the perimeter battles. Special teams and secondary depth are absolutely huge in a rotation-heavy game like this. Here is your step-by-step guide for evaluating those perimeter skill players against the secondary depth. Step 1, watch the free releases off the line of scrimmage. Step 2, chart the separation right at the top of their intermediate routes. Step 3, how are they executing contested catches? And Step 4, track the yards after catch they create before contact. Look, a layered route concept that finds a clean window against good defensive leverage, that is pure gold. A busted coverage deep bomb, that actually tells us almost nothing about a receiver's sustainable efficiency.
And please, do not ignore the special teams variables. You got to track net punt results, coverage leverage, return decisions, and how well they execute kick operations. A muffed punt, a blocked kick, or a massive return can easily gift a team an unearned 7 points or a super short field. That completely distorts how efficient the offense looks. You have to treat field position as a causal input, not just background noise. If a team is consistently forcing long fields while protecting their own punter, they hold a massive, repeatable advantage.
Section 5. Live in-play game states. Real-time execution.
So, we're transitioning from pregame theory to live-action viewing. How do you actually synthesize all this while the clock's ticking? Here's your live evaluation timeline. In the first quarter, instantly chart participation. Who's under center? How many starting linemen are out there? What's the starting field position? For the rest of the first half, strictly isolate your evaluation by the active quarterback group. Seriously, a botched goal line snap by a reserve shouldn't penalize the starter's grade. Keep a close eye on that 3rd and 4 to 7 process. Clean conversion design here is highly portable. Finally, in the fourth quarter, evaluate which team retains the more functional backup QB and stable punt operation, because honestly, that's usually what decides these deep rotation games.
Here's a question you should be asking yourself constantly. How do we actually evaluate an early lead? Well, a lead only matters if it's built on sustained early down gains, clean pockets, and repeatable trench advantages. If Jacksonville jumps up 7-0 just because of a solitary defensive touchdown or a special teams return or a takeaway that gave them the ball in the red zone, that lead is a total mirage. It's highly vulnerable to regression. Do not upgrade a team based on an unearned lead.
And that exact same logic applies to negative plays. You have to contextualize every single turnover and sack based on personnel and timing. If you see a late interception by a 4-string QB, trace it back. Was it a forced decision? Did the receiver totally blow the route? Or was it truly elite disguised coverage? Don't blindly assign one mistake by a late-game reserve to a team-wide ball security issue. Same with sacks. Maybe the QB just held the ball too long, and it wasn't a pure offensive line failure at all. Context is literally everything.
Section 6. Final projections and verdict. The predictive layer.
Now, I need to be absolutely crystal clear right off the bat. What we're looking at next is purely sports analysis and entertainment based on mathematical models. This is not betting or financial advice. Okay, let's look at the estimates. The model projects Jacksonville at 20 and Carolina at 19. But check out that third column, the plausible range. Jacksonville sits anywhere from 10 to 30 and Carolina is 9 to 29. Those are incredibly low confidence projected scores. Why such a massive volatile range? Because of the unresolved quarterback participation, unverified starters, and literally zero current year EPA data. It's basically a symmetry-breaking score based almost entirely on a very weak home venue prior.
Which leads us right into the baseline win probabilities. We've got Jacksonville at 51%, Carolina at 48.5%, and a tiny 0.5% regulation tie allowance just to satisfy the structural modeling schema. Oh, and there's a separate 2% conditional overtime probability if the game goes the distance and exhibition rules allow it. But look how insanely close this is. Jacksonville's razor-thin edge is purely logistical venue context. It is absolutely not a claim that they possess a better quarterback, offensive line, secondary, or coaching staff today.
All right, final verdict time. Because the pregame numbers are so deeply conditional, your real work begins the second the ball is kicked. Only upgrade a team live when they prove they have repeatable trench or coverage advantages. Wait until you see multiple, clean, normal field drives with positive early down sequencing with zero protection failures across a single QB group. Evaluate the process, read the depth chart, and whatever you do, don't overreact to volatile, low sample score events. Watch the trenches, watch the decision-making, and just enjoy the true chess match out there on the field. Which brings me to the ultimate question for you. If a team cannot establish baseline tactical discipline in a low-stakes August exhibition, how on earth can we trust them when the real lights come on in September? Think about that as you watch the tape. Thanks for joining The Explainer.